Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the exceptionally rare psychic-type Pokemon Unown, the Symbol Pokémon. Mysterious in their forms and powers, and seemingly existing for no reason, the Unown are fascinating creatures whose weak power individually can more than make them a terror to face in large gatherings.
As far as the physical description goes, these creatures are extremely simple in their forms, possessing black, semi-cylindrical bodies with a single black sphere for an eye, and are all shaped either in versions of Latin letters, or in the case of two, form of punctuation from written language. It is uncertain if these forms predate or postdate written language, thus leaving the origins of their bizarre forms a mystery at best.
While the exact origin of the Unown is still a mystery, it comes as no surprise that it may hold an exceptionally important connection with the human race in regards to the development of written language.
At the moment, there are currently two major hypotheses purported to explain the connection between humanity and these creatures. According to one hypothesis, it is said that humans originally discovered the Unown before language was ever created. This would make some sense as the Unown come in 28 recognized forms which, oddly enough, bear a great resemblance to our own Latin alphabet, not counting the Unown shaped like question and exclamation marks, which were only discovered relatively recently, but it would not explain why other languages have differing symbols for letters. The other hypothesis states that the Unown were discovered after humans had developed language, and that their appearance was merely coincidental, or may have at least inspired change in the appearance of the language over time. This latter hypothesis is supported by ancient hieroglyphs depicting variations of the Unown that have yet to be seen in the wild, each modeled after the letters of local civilizations, which could indicate that they merely imagined that there were creatures like them with such appearances, or perhaps even that there were once in fact such types in existence, but died out for some reason.
Unfortunately, no one has been able to completely prove whether either hypothesis is actually correct, so the true nature of the connection between Unown and written language is still uncertain.
It is known, however, that the Unown are quite shy, and that ancient civilizations built many temples for them, both out of honor and for protection, as the Unown are weak creatures and dislike bright sunlight a great deal, indicating that there certainly was contact made, and some sort of trusting relationship once existed between humans and these Pokemon. As far as what their origins might say about this, no one is actually sure where the Unown came from, or what they even really are. But in light of recent evidence, it seems that the Unown may be connected to Arceus, and may potentially be the supposed 1,000 arms that Arceus used to create the universe. While this theory has some serious credence to it, especially given the reality warping powers these creatures have in large numbers, the truth behind the connection between them and the supposed god of creation for our universe is still not entirely certain. In terms of offense, Unown are extremely bizarre creatures and seem to have a good reason to stay hidden from others, as they are unable to actually attack directly at all. The only attack that they can normally use, through any biological or technological means, is the hidden power attack, and were in fact the models for the move when it was converted into a TM format. This strange lack of defensive power has led many to speculate that the Unown may in fact come from an entirely different world or even dimension, which could support the theorized relationship between Arceus and them, but it is difficult to tell if this is truly the case. Regardless, the Unown need no form of food to sustain themselves, instead drawing the power from ambient psychic energy in the air. While many claim that these creatures communicate through telepathy, they are only partially correct. In reality, the Unown communicate through radio waves that are actually detectable by modern radios, producing a strange harmonic static believed by many to resemble almost unbelievably closely the predicted melody an Azure flute would play at its full capacity, further indicating a connection with Arceus. In the wild, Unown generally keep to themselves and rarely ever disturb others, simply sticking their bodies to walls and blending in with the numerous hieroglyphs that dot the ruins they call home. Interestingly enough, when alone, Unown are exceptionally weak and pointless to have in battle. When present in groups of two or more, however, the psychic energies harmonize and fuse, allowing them to act as a single reservoir of psychokinetic energy with regenerating offensive and defensive properties that go far beyond the sum of their parts. In these large groups, the Unown can perform otherwise impossible feats, like teleporting individuals great distances, opening up dimensional rifts, and in some cases, taking the thoughts and dreams of others and converting them into a physical state, effectively allowing the Unown to take someone's imagination, no matter how frightening it may be, and create a living physical construct out of it. Unfortunately, if they use this immense power for too long, Unown become unable to control their own powers and go completely berserk, resulting oftentimes in random but completely catastrophic aftereffects on other life forms and the environment around them. As such, they are best kept on their own and not allowed to join with others of their own kind, as while their access to levitate as an ability can give them some minor protection, Their base stats are all below average for fully evolved Psychic-type Pokemon, and thus are very easy to handle one-on-one.
Although the Unown are pretty good at keeping themselves out of the public eye, their involvement in the Greenfield incident is more than worth noting, if only for the sake of demonstrating what they are capable of.
22 years ago, a local researcher by the name of Professor Spencer Hale had been researching the mysterious Unown when he accidentally got sucked into a pocket dimension containing the strange creatures, leaving in his wake a box of ancient tiles marked with unknown symbols. When his daughter Molly got a hold of the tiles, she mistakenly released the Unown and allowed a small army of them to leave the pocket dimension and enter our world. Feeding off her imagination, the Unown brought Molly's dreams and fantasies to life, transforming her home and the surrounding hillsides into a terrifying palace of crystal and stone, and even going so far as to create a fake Entei under the premise of it representing Molly's protective father in her mind. Unfortunately, the Unown gained too much power in the short stay and began to use Molly's dreams and thoughts uncontrollably and unpredictably, eventually losing control of themselves and becoming a living doomsday device. Thanks to efforts of some traveling kids, as well as the false Entei that had been created to protect Molly, however, the Unown were eventually defeated and returned back to the pocket dimension. In turn, this allowed Professor Hill to return back to our world and reunite with his daughter.
I have to admit, while I usually can understand to some degree what exactly is going on with a specific type of Pokemon regarding their anatomy, powers, and behavior with Hubby, these creatures just have me plain stumped. On the one hand, they really are quite weak on their own, and only having access to hidden power limits them immensely, but it is very clear that they really aren't meant to be fighters to attack others on their own. They almost always come in massive swarms, and their combined powers are the stuff of dreams and nightmares simultaneously. It's hard not to figure out just where the power comes from, but another to even think on where they themselves came from, and what purpose they hold in this world or any other. If you ask me personally, as Hubby brought up, I think there is a lot of credence to believe that they may indeed be the arms of Arceus in legend. We've already seen what kind of devastation they can wreak with just dozens of members, so imagine the creative and destructive potential they could have as a group of 1,000 or more. It's a bit disturbing to me, to say the least, and not something I would ever want to be around. And that is a shame, as while they tend to be very skittish, the Unown aren't really that aggressive, just wishing to be left alone for the most part, and I can respect that. There is a lot that we have left to learn about these bizarre entities, and I'm honestly all for more study into them. However, I would exercise great caution as to who has any sort of control over them, as we've already seen that this kind of power is dangerous enough in the hands of a child. I shudder to think what they could do in the hands of someone far more nefarious.
Strange in structure and more than a bit mysterious, the Unown are truly a unique race of creatures whose immense power is likely to only be seen by those foolish enough to try and summon it forth. They might only ever appear in the strangest of locations for many and in isolated areas, but where they do dwell, they dwell in immense numbers, and thus can be creatures that individuals will have to seek out with caution and great resolve.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure to try not to gather them in one area for too long. They may be able to make any wish or desire of yours come true, but rely on them too much, and you may find yourself regretting that when they can't even control themselves, and the universal egg the creator was born from turns into a de-searing nightmare unlike anything you could ever imagine.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.